Welcome to this tutorial about MUnit. This is the second part of tutorial about MUnit. In last part, we set up a project for which we will be writing MUnit test cases. So if you have not seen the first part, I will suggest you first go and check that first part of the tutorial because I will not be explaining that again, and we will be just building on that. So what we did in last tutorial was we created one main flow, MUnit demo flow, and then we had decision flow and two subflows. So our main flow takes a input. It's HTTP query param, which is like decision key, and then we based on that we send that as a payload to decision flow. Based on the decision key takes a decision and calls to subflows, and these subflows sets uh, flow variable and send it back, and from there we reach here. Our main flow takes decision based on those flow variable and set the payload as whether decision 1 was taken or decision 2 was taken. So this is something like this. Okay, so let's get going and start writing unit test cases with MUnit. So as I explained in previous tutorial, um, unit test case is basically uh, where we test the one part of your code, a very small unit of your code. So we will be testing each flow individually. So when I say individually, if there is a subflow, it's also a part of a flow. But if from a flow you're making a flow reference, then that flow reference is not a part of your flow. So what I'm trying to say is, when you test decision flow, we will be testing subflow calls also. But when we do the unit test for main flow, we will not be testing decision flow in that case. We will be mocking these objects and then testing this choice part of main flow. Because we have so many test cases to write, so in this tutorial I will be just covering how to test your subflows and decision flow, like how to mock or how to check whether this flow was um, instantiated or called or not, like a flow call. In the next tutorial, I will be showing you how to mock these objects and check your main flow. Along with that, I will be showing you how to do the functional test of end-to-end implementation. So let's get started. And so first, let's create one MUnit test case for our subflow. So let's click MUnit and let's give it a name, subflow. And from here you can either choose your flow or you can later on also create it. So I will show you what's the difference with this and without this. So if you select something and then you click finish, so let's see what happened here. Here you can see there is a test flow, one test case created, and it has put a flow reference to your subflow. So other than that, it has not put anything. So let's go to the XML part and see. So whenever you write a test case or MUnit test case, there are few important parts. First is this MUnit config. So this is the initialization of MUnit framework which is pretty simple. Then if you want, you can write it by hand, or if like I created, then you will get it directly here. Next part is this bean. In this bean, as you can see, we are importing mule demo, and this mule demo is our mule config file here, this one. So if you have many, like more, then here you can just simply import them all. So whichever config file or flow file you want to test, you have to import it here. If it's not there, MUnit will not be able to call it. So let's see. Okay, so since this is a SubFlow and this is only setting one flow variable, okay, so what we will be testing is whether when we call this flow, whether we get a proper decision flow variable or not, and that we will be doing based on assert. As you may know, in JUnit or in any unit test there are asserts, so we can assert any kind of object or value returned from that call. So we will be doing, if you just type assert, you can see there are many kind of assert. You can do assert equal, false, not equals, null payload. So a lot of out of the box asserts are available. So we will be doing assert equals. Let's drag it. If you don't like working with GUI, you can go directly to XML and you can write it there also. um, so I like doing more things with XML directly, so I will show you here. So what you see here is MUnit test. It's a name of your test case. So if you remember in last uh, tutorial, I told it's always good to name them something what you're testing. So it's already like SubFlow test, so decision one SubFlow test, so which is pretty good, so we don't need to change that. And then this is decision one SubFlow, and it's making a reference to that decision one SubFlow, and then assert on equals. So here, so what is our expected value? So we expect that when we call this SubFlow, it will be setting a decision one in our flow var. So our expected value is decision one, and where we expect it? We expect it to be in flow vars. So we say flow vars dot decision variable. That's it, pretty simple. Okay, let's go here and see, check this out. Okay, so here also you can see if I would have written it here directly, we can get it here also. Now there is something called test failure message. Suppose if when you make a call to this and you don't get the proper message, then what message you want to display? So let's display sorry, did not got expected value. Okay, so we were expecting what? We were expecting decision okay, pardon my spellings, DECIS, decision one, and instead we got what? We got, so we can put our flow var here, and then that's the value we got. So you can simply copy this, okay, and we put it here. So let's, okay, I missed that. Okay, so let's just try it once whether it runs or not. So you can do the debugging also. If you want, you some test case is failing and you want to check why it's failing, you can just put a debug point there, like toggle breakpoint, and then you can run it as, and otherwise you can just mm, okay, something is okay. So now let's run it and see what happens when we run it. So I want to show you what happens in console, and so here is that MUnit run, and here you can see in console it's going and calling your flow, and then it will show you what happened. So let me just, okay, so it's running, it started running. So here you see it passed. Suppose we change our expected value to, maybe, let's see, suppose if we expect decision 2 from decision 1 subflow, when we run it, it's obviously we will get a fail result, but I just wanted to show you what will happen if it fails. So here you can see it failed, and once you click it, so here is your message, sorry, did not get expected value, that is, oh sorry, I should have changed the message, but anyway, we got decision 1, so expected was decision 2 but got decision 1. So this is how you test your subflows. So let's change it back. Okay. So now let's write for decision flow. I'm not going to write second test case for subflow. I will leave it up to you to write it. So let's create another test case, and this time let's name it decision. So this time I'm not going to choose anything, so I will show you how it looks when you don't have anything. I should have named it decision flow. Okay, so let's rename it. Decision flow. Okay, so this time you see there is nothing created by default. Okay, so there is nothing created by default. If we go inside, there is nothing, only one MUnit config is created, so we need to import by ourselves. So I will just copy paste. If you want, you can. So okay, so we have this. Okay, what did I do? Okay, made a mistake. Okay, so this is right. So you can go here and choose test. You can just drag one test here, so it's empty test. So let's okay, so what we are going to test is, we are going to test this decision flow. So there can be two kind of test cases for this. One test case where you mock and check whether you get proper decision variable set after it calls this one subflows, and second, if this which flow was um, called or not, to just to verify the call. So let's first see call verification part. So in this, let's first set, because since our decision flow requires a payload, so we have to set one payload. So we call payload, so set payload, and we can just drop here, and Then we have a flow reference. I'm just going to drop everything and then change it from there. Flow reference, and then we need to verify whether it was called or not. So we have to verify call. So this is the three part. Okay, so if you go back, it looks like something like this. It's giving error because we need to set some values. So it's the mock verify call, set payload, and flow reference. So let's set the values. Okay, let me close this. Let me make it bigger so that you can see. Okay, so what payload does it require to call any flow? We have, as if you remember, our decision key which main flow was sending was value 1 or value 2. So we need to set that value to call proper flow. So let's okay, sorry, decision flow. Let's test flow test mock call 1. Okay, so let's set the payload. We set payload as value 1. You can leave everything else as it is. Let's save it. Let's go to flow reference, and which flow we want to call. We want to call decision flow, and this part is important. So here you see there are lots of values here. So what we want to check is we want to verify whether our call was done or not. So in our message processor, we have to tell it what kind of call we are trying to verify. We are trying to verify mule subflow, mule subflow call, right? And our doc name is verify call, and there is somewhere, okay, we want to verify whether it's called once or not. We give this, and then we define some attribute. This attribute will tell how it will verify. It will verify subflow. It will verify it was called once, but what? Which flow? That we define here. So we define an attribute, and we name it name, and where value is okay. I need to explain this. So name is basically the name of your flow. If you see here, name of our subflow is decision 1 subflow. Okay, this one. So we want to verify whether this is called or not. So I come here, and it's always, when you want to verify subflows, always use match contains of MUnit to verify whether it's called or not. I'm sorry. Like this. Okay, so let's see how it looks in XML. So I will explain again. Close this. Okay, so you see verify call, mule subflow, name is for the name of the subflow, and match contains decision 1 subflow. Let's try and call it once. Okay, we need to save it. Okay, where is my console? Here is console. So it's running, it's calling. Okay, so we passed. We called proper flow. Okay, if you go and see, you can see here it ran this mock call test suite. Sorry, pardon me. And then okay, somewhere we can see which call was done. Okay, somewhere it is, so you can check it out later. Okay, so this is how we verify mock the call was done or not, to verify any call of SubFlow. And it's always a good idea when you use SubFlow to use match contains. Now let's write another test case where we check whether proper variable was set or not. So I'm just going to make a copy of this, and okay, I made half copy. So and I'm going to check whether proper flow was called or not. Okay, so proper variable was set or not. So decision flow var 1 to test. Okay, so we don't need verify call here now, so we just need assert equals. So let's go here and let's drag it, assert. Okay, we go and bring it here, we write. So what we want whether decision, it's same assert, so I can just simply go to this one. It's similar kind of assertion we want to do. So I just want to copy this one, and I come here, and then I replace this. I should have copied it from there. Okay, so you see we are trying to assert whether decision variable was set and its value should be 1 when we make a call. So let's try to run it. So these are the two test cases which will be running, one flow verification and one decision variable assertion. Okay, so okay, so both of them passed. So similarly you can write for verify call for second flow and assertion for second decision. By second I mean this one and this one. So one thing I want to tell you, you should be very careful with okay, when you make a verify call, be very careful of what part you are testing, name or doc name. So there are various attributes you can have a doc name, you can have a name, you can have a flow name. So this is the flow name, subflow name. And if you have a doc name, and if it is different, you can check the doc name also, doc colon name. So today this is about it, about MUnit test case for decision flow. So in next video I will be showing you how to do unit test case for this, which is going to be a bit more complicated because as I said, unit test should be autonomous. It should not depend on any other test case or flow or any other code. So we have to mock this, and then we will be checking this part, and then we will be writing one functional test case which will test it end to end. So that will be third and last part, and it will be coming soon. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel so that you can get latest videos. Thank you for watching.